Hello, James here, and welcome to the James Cast. What is in store for you in this episode? This is catching up and a conversation with Ali Mack. Who's Ali Mack? Ali Mack is a gentleman that I met when I was working the night shifts, 12 years of that, at Dubai Eye, and Ali was one of the DJs who was working at Virgin Radio in Dubai. Ali and I would catch up for about 90 seconds to 2 minutes pretty much every night that we were working, and we developed a friendship. And this is that catching up because Ali ended up leaving Dubai. He moved on. He moved on to another Virgin product in Lebanon, in Beirut. He got married. He got very entrepreneurial. He continues to love music. He's doing his thing, and he's back in Dubai. And I thought, wow, there's a story here. And you know what? Ali and I sat down and we told the story. Interesting thing is at points of this conversation, I'm not sure who's interviewing who. Am I interviewing Ali or is Ali interviewing me? Hey, you know what? You're going to love it. Here we go. This is Catching Up with Ali Mack.
I'm going to have to get used to this, yeah. It's been so long since I've been on behind the microphone. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's like, it's yeah. I mean, it was funny when we were talking about getting together and doing this.
Yeah, obviously, we've been following each other on Instagram for a while. I mean, since I left, to be honest. And every time I see you, I can see your feet by a swimming pool and then a mixer. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? So, yeah, we have been talking a couple of weeks now about this, and I thought,
Yeah. And the funny thing is, we obviously met doing radio.
Yeah.
And we were both doing nights.
Yeah.
I'm a morning person, so nights was a killer for 12 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Can you imagine? Like, I'm up at 5 a.m, right? And
really?
Yeah. So nights was
not made for you.
No, 12 years of it.
So when we were together, is that why you seemed really buzzed? Because you were either running on adrenaline or caffeine? Because I was like, man, I mean, I thought I had energy in the evenings, but this guy, whoa.
Hey, you can fire that mask off if you want. Like,
man.
Yeah. We get to see each other's.
Yeah, I haven't seen your beautiful face in so long. Yeah, let me get this off.
Yeah, and it's and we do social distance, and I do sterilize, and we do change the covers on the mic, so it's kind of cool.
So you're fully invested in this.
Yeah. Hey, are your headphones loud enough? By the way, you need
slightly louder. I'm used to.
Yeah, because my drums. You want more? You want more? You want more?
A little bit.
Yeah. You still want more?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I'm good now.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
it makes all the difference, right?
It does. It's so nice to hear your own voice. Right?
No, but you know the crazy thing is, and you would get this all the time, is because this is what you did for so long, and you mean you're still doing variety. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But when you get in front of a mic and you don't have headphones on,
it doesn't work.
Yeah. You're just kind of like, I can't hear myself.
No,
Are you sure you got good levels? Is it going?
And sometimes I watch like these podcasts and stuff, and I see them behind microphones without headphones, and I'm like, you're not doing this properly, dude, or madam, sir, ma'am, you're not doing this correct at all. And it's nice to have it really popping in your ears as well.
Yeah, and it does nothing for your hearing, but what can we do?
So I've lost the top end of my hearing anyway. I've lost the top, I think they said 20%.
Okay.
So I was like, cool, just going to keep going with it. But I think that was mainly from the DJing in clubs and stuff where, literally the headphones were on full blast. And then you've got the monitor speaker on the other side. So it's just like constant, bass in your ears. It's crazy.
Ali, I'm going to start this off. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's get this thing going, and you're going to love it because I run this just like every other good quality audio product. We have to have an intro, and there we go.
Wow. I like this. This is you.
This is Catching Up with Ali Mack is
Hello.
what this is.
Yeah.
You're listening to Podaholics. My name's James Pikeway. Ali Mack is in front of me, and for about the next hour,
Yeah, good morning.
we're having a chat.
Yeah.
And and the beauty of podcasting is people can be listening at any time of the day.
I want you to know this is like super early in the morning for me. You may be listening to this at 4 p.m., but let me tell you, I am 3 coffees in.
Coming to you from the Rove Hotel, downtown Dubai, the podcast studio there. We're gonna have a lot of fun because we're literally catching up, and it's been a while. It's been a long time. In fact, I remember when we were both at Arabian Radio Network. You were at Virgin.
Yeah.
I was on Dubai Eye.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about that whole environment was because I was at night, I didn't come in during the day. I was a freelancer for 12 years, but I had a regular show. So I was like one of the few people who had this privilege of being on air. And I would run into folks like you.
Yeah.
And you would be getting ready to go on and do your show. I'd be coming in and getting ready to do mine. So inevitably you were busy. I'd interrupt. We'd talk for about 3 or 4 minutes.
I mean, you would charge into my studio and say, when are you going to play ZZ Top? You know? So, but that was you were one of the first friends I made in the network. Because you were the only one that actually came in and said hello. And like you said, because we never came in during the day, we didn't see anyone.
No. And we didn't have any of the drama either, which I always thought was, I mean, not that there's drama. Everyone's nice at the studio, but hey, we're people who are on air, we have a little bit of an ego, and
just a little bit. Yeah. You did come across the drama. I found that I came across drama with people I didn't see much. Because it was always like, what did you do to the studio? Whilst you were there last night till 2 a.m. Nothing, I swear I didn't do anything. I just pressed as many buttons as I could. But it was nice because honestly, I kid you not, doing evenings, I actually look forward to bumping into you in the evening just to have a quick chat because I didn't see anyone during the day. I lived alone. So it was really nice to come in, see a smiling face. It used to gear me up. Couldn't get away from the shirts.
And they're still here.
Yeah, they're still there. And you haven't aged a bit.
Hey, thank you very much. But did you notice something though? So in the process of transitioning and what we do, I had a friend who got cancer. Now she's cancer free now. So hey, that's news. 3 cheers. But in the process of this all happening and going, starting her chemo and doing this years ago. So I used to have shoulder length blonde hair.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
And then I had to shave it all off because she was shaving her head off.
Yeah,
and so a bunch of us, so I took the blonde locks off, and when they grow back in, it's George Clooney gray.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you were really blonde and now, but I like this.
Yeah.
So, I like this.
In fact, it's, literally it's George Clooney gray. And for all the women who are listening who are going, I can just, it's also rather thick hair.
Yeah.
And
but it's only George Clooney above the forehead though, right?
Yes.
No, dude, you look awesome. Hey, honestly, thanks, it's been 8 years, by the way, since we last met.
Is that how long it is?
Yeah, I left in 2012.
I remember when you were leaving, and that was the whole thing. Because I working in the radio, 2 things happen. One, people leave and no one ever says anything about it. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one day you're on air, next day you're gone.
Yeah,
and that drives me nuts.
Well, it's what the industry goes on. You're here today, gone tomorrow, and it is kind of an out of sight, out of mind thing. Yeah. I still get a few messages today though. Remember listening to your show growing up, blah blah blah. But show goes on.
How did you get into radio?
I fell into radio. I fell into it. I was someone's experiment.
Hold on, experiment.
Yeah. Basically, I used to listen to a station called Kiss FM back in the UK.
Yeah, everyone knows Kiss.
Yeah. So I used to listen to the drive time guy, a guy called Robin Banks, who's now actually in Oman. He runs a station in Oman. And he was talking about some stuff on air, and I just sent in an email saying, you kind of got this wrong. And he gave me a call, and he was like, hey, can I put you on air? We spoke a little bit. Became friends, never met. And then he had a computer problem because I graduated in computer science.
Of course, that's the logical transition into radio and audio and DJing.
Absolutely.
It's all about computers. I mean, I'm serious.
I don't use my degree at all.
This is the man who's got the phone in front of him. He's got a hard drive in front of him. It looks like some kind of USB stuff there.
This is a lifesaver. This is a vape.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it stopped me from smoking.
Hey, congratulations.
That's changed since we last met.
Yeah, you're quite the smoker.
Yeah, that's gone. Got a couple of tattoos as well.
I saw one of those online. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, this was a radio stunt.
That's a radio stunt.
Yeah.
But so let's go back to Mr. Banks. So you're talking to the guy, you're helping him with a computer thing, and
then one weekend he just calls me on my mobile and he goes, "Oh, my computer's broken. Can you come round and fix it? I'm really sorry. This is really weird." I was like, and I used to love this guy. I was like, "Yeah, of course, I'll be there." I drove 2 hours to his house.
2 hours.
And knocked on the door.
So we're talking England at this point.
Yeah. So he lived in Surrey at the time, and I was northwest London, and that's far.
Yeah, it is far.
So
2 hours driving. That's, I mean, especially when we're talking England, that's like a vacation.
It really was.
Because you got to do 2 hours to get back.
Yeah, exactly. But that didn't happen. I didn't do the 2 hours back. This is how I got into radio. And I knocked on the door and he opened and he was like, "Yeah, can I help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm here to fix your computer." He goes, "No, I've already got a friend coming down." "Darling, did you call someone from Dell?" And I was like, "No, dude, I'm the guy. We speak on the phone. My name's Mac." And he was like, "Oh my God, you're brown." And I was like, "What?" Nobody told me. And he was like, "Oh my God, that sounded so racist." I was like, "Dude, it's cool."
Yeah,
you know, not
happens all the time.
Yeah.
But, which does not make it right.
It doesn't, but you get used to it.
Yeah.
You get used to it. And we've become best friends. I was best man at his wedding. He was best man at mine. And he just said, "I'd like to take someone from outside of the radio industry and see if I can just train them up to be in radio." And he did that, and he was friends with the head of Virgin International, sent him my audio. The guy was like, "This guy is a younger version of you. Got a station starting up in Dubai. We'll get him on nights." And that's how I got into radio. So I owe him, and I owe Ian Grace, who is the head of Virgin International, and Steve Pulley, who was my first program director.
Steve Pulley as well.
We're still in touch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the guys, he really helped me and really coached me through as well. So those three men are father teachers in my life, sort of thing.
And it just keeps happening too, doesn't it? I mean, the whole saying, the people you meet going up the ladder are the people that you're going to bump into going down, and transitioning through.
Yeah.
I think it's also amazing when we talk radio. Yeah. How everyone I talk to who's got a career in radio has the same awkward, different story. Like I've met very few people who say, "Oh yeah, I went to broadcast training and I did this and I did that." Yeah. And
it's never like that. No. It's never like that. You're right. I mean, he fell into it. I fell into it. There's 3 or 4 other people I know who just fell into it. Yeah. How about you?
Same kind of thing. Absolutely same kind of thing. Came here in 2000. I'm a university professor. That's what I do. So this is the irony, right? So every night when I would go and I would run into you, or if I did come in during the day because I need to see the program manager, I'd run into all the daytime people, right? And I'd be standing there and I'm starstruck. Yeah. Every time I'd come into you and it's like Ali Mac. And I remember one day in this whole process, I run into Chris Fade, right? And nice enough guy. He's a really nice guy, and again, lots of egos. So and I remember at one point I'm just kind of standing there and, Pretty Malik is there and I'm just like gaga because it's like, wow,
Pretty's lovely. I really love her.
These are like radio stars. And Pretty looks over at me and she goes, "Dude, we do the same thing."
Yeah. She's so cool.
New Yorker who's back here and married, and
she's the one person who has stayed constant. Yeah. She's a lovely girl. I didn't find the starstruck part really. For me, we were just we started together at the station.
So let me back up with the starstruck part. Yeah. So I'm a university professor.
Yeah.
So I got started by in radio here in the UAE. So I'd been here a couple of years, wanted to hear more talk radio that I was used to from home. So more like BBC, CBC kind of thing. We didn't really have it. So I badgered the guys over at 99.3 The Better Mix until someone finally said, "Okay, why don't you come in and we'll do a little weekend show, you and the DJ kind of talking, and in between tunes talking news." Yeah. And I did that for a couple of years, just volunteered, just went in once a week. It was kind of fun, and sitting behind, just doing like this, except the DJ was running the board.
Yeah. What year was this?
This would be 2003.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 2003, 2004. And then that sort of transitioned as the personalities left.
Yeah.
Dubai Eye was kicking off. They had some changes going on there in the early days. Matthew Johnson heard me on there, knew that I wasn't doing it anymore, said, hey, why don't you come over to the Eye?
Yeah.
And I said, no, because that's not what I do. He said, I want you to run a show. And I'm going, you got to be nuts. I don't do that. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
And so finally, he just wore me down. And so it was during Ramadan. And he said, why don't you come in and just give it a try? And so I did. And Sticky Fingers, Noel, Sticky Fingers. He was there and he said, okay. He sat behind the desk because the faders are up, faders are down.
Yep.
Red light's on, you're talking, and there's the clock. So you know that you got 12 minutes, then hit the ads.
Yep.
And I'm going to go sit over here and have a hoagie.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. And it was instant love. I mean, I got to say the first month was interesting. I talked to a lot of dead air and did things, but learned through example and learned through people being pretty critical and snooping, which I don't think happens enough. And for those who aren't in the radio industry, that's when someone like Ali, would listen in on the show, or I'd send him the tapes, and then he goes through it minute by minute and says, dude, why are your mic's too hot, you're too loud, your levels are off, you're firing off the ads at the wrong place, your intro is really bad, your outro is really bad, you're not following.
So you call that snooping?
Yeah.
Oh, we call that an air check.
Oh, an air check. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's we had air checks weekly.
I think they're a great thing.
That's the only way.
But some people hate them.
No, they're the best. That's the only way you're going to learn and that's where Steve came in and Robin, both of them, because I still sent them audio.
That's a great thing to do.
Absolutely. But look where you are now.
Yeah. Well, and so that's how I got started, and then how I ended up finishing on air. And I suppose someday we'll go back. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, podcasting is the way, right?
It is the way.
What happened was they changed the format a little bit, and in changing the format, adding music, which is actually where I started talking between music. My show no longer fit on the actual clock because they had too many shows and too much things, and so they just said, we're going to cut out that show.
Yeah.
And so they did. And we sort of think, after the shock and horror, because, it's like, and it was funny because my wife said to me, and why are we talking about me? We should be talking about you. But my wife said to me, for 12 years, you were never home between 7 and 11.
Yeah. You finally got your life back, kind of, right?
Yeah. Kids left and I got the life back.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Since leaving radio, do you actually ever listen to the radio?
No.
Yeah. So it's normal then. All right. Yeah. I don't listen.
I don't listen to the radio.
No.
This is the crazy thing. So, and I wonder if it's part of it. Part of it is just the evolution of things. Spotify, podcasting. I don't know. I mean, I just find I get my own music mixes that I've put together.
Well, radio is a dying industry, and it has been slowly dying for about 15 years now, from the US to the UK, because everything's now syndicated and networked, and so everything's like, for example, in the UK, everything is broadcast out of London and spreads through the UK, whereas before every city had its own sort of local radio station.
Which is
dead now.
To me, that's the part that I really like, and I think that's where podcasting comes in. You can do these kind of things, which are just, I love it because I don't have some marketer and a management team breathing down my neck saying, oh, hold on, you only got 12 minutes talking. Hey, don't mention anything about the stations that Ali worked at before, and don't talk about people, and don't talk about that product. And it's like, what do you want me to talk about?
Once I got in trouble with Steve because I had you on for a second.
Yeah.
And then I jumped onto your show and we were part of the same network.
Yeah.
No, that was like,
not allowed.
I was like, why? We're part of the same, we're sister stations.
No,
can't do it.
No.
Don't mention any other stations. Why? Like, are we not all friends? We're like a dying industry. We should try and stay alive.
Yeah.
No, can't do that.
I always found that weird too, because it was always a struggle. I always wanted to bring in folks because we were 92. Yeah. We were Virgin. Yeah. We were us on the Eye, and we were the Tagalog station downstairs at one point. 91.1.
Where my old co-host is now, Louis.
Yes.
The Costa, she's doing really well.
Man, I remember when you guys were doing it.
We had a great time.
Hey, you know the thing about, so when we say I don't listen to radio, I mean, I do occasionally flip through the dial, and I always end up over there with Louis. Yeah. Because I remember when she started, her Tagalog on radio was a little bit rusty. I mean, of course she speaks, that, but now She's a full-blown diva.
Yeah. She's doing really well, and I'm really proud of her. Not that I'm her father or anything, but we talked a lot about how to improve our show, and I used to try and give her pointers, and she would give me feedback, and I'm still in touch with her. We speak quite often. I'm really proud of her. She's doing really well, and you're right, she's turned into this massive thing. And she always had that.
Yeah.
But she was just never really pushed.
Yeah.
And she's doing great now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's radio.
You had some crazy times here in Dubai, and then you left. I mean, that was again, we've dropped some names, and look, there is drama in radio stations. That's
yeah. It is. Egos is one of the reasons I left.
Yeah, and let's be honest, there are times of the day, like the morning shows across any station. Those are the people who.
Those are the big guns.
Those are the big guns, and it's kind of like, okay, you know what? And I always say, because coming the professor side of me, say, well, if you're really the big guns and you pick any station, you go on the night show and let's see how many people are listening. Because I'll go on the morning show and I can tell you, you've got a captive audience, except now with COVID, there's no kids in cars right now, right?
No, but
so who's listening to those shows?
But being on a breakfast show, you automatically have listeners.
Yeah.
We had to work to get listeners.
Yeah.
And
I used to love the show that I was doing, because they would get all the stats, right, and they say, okay, you've got half of what the morning show has, but people listen to your show for 45 minutes where they're listening to the morning show for 12.
Yeah.
And I'm going 45 minutes, 12, and they go, yeah, but there's more listeners. Like, longer engagement, people.
Yeah. So I had a similar thing where for one quarter, for one ratings, and they tried to hide this from me as much as possible. I beat the breakfast show.
And again, you were at night. You were running the night show, the night shift.
That's really hard.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it took a toll on my body.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, people don't realize the amount of effort. I mean, it's not just, you're sitting behind a mic, you're listening to some tunes, but you've got to talk, and you've got to engage an audience, and you've got to do your research, and you got to know what's going on. And there's days when you're not happy and you don't want to be there, and you've got to be Ali Mak, the spirit of the night. Yeah,
well, I had a minute and a half each time I spoke, 4 times an hour. So I had 6 minutes an hour to talk, which isn't a lot of time to keep an audience. Yeah. That's hard work. It's and
then it's all the off air. You're on the phone, you're answering messages.
Non-stop. My favorite thing was the phones, though. I used to get some great people on in the evening, like some real characters, where I'll be like, what am I the first I think 3 months was a real shock, the type of people that called. I had a guy that used to call me from prison.
Okay.
Yeah, he used to
so
call
you
me
you were
once
doing
a week
prison radio at some point.
I don't know how. He used to call me once a week from prison. This lasted about a month, and I engaged with him. Most people would run away, and this is where Robin's training kind of came in. He goes, dude, engage. That's a great person to talk to right there. And so I used to speak to him. So the phones were what kept me going. If it wasn't for the phones, it would have really hurt me. So it was really nice that people called in, because they called in because they cared. That's how I felt. That's how they made me feel. And in return, I cared about them. So I tried to do my best for them, for entertainment value. And if I could have gone away every evening and one person said, oh, you really made my night tonight, that was it. I was like buzzing.
I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? It just takes one, and it's balancing out those texts, because people don't realize they're SMSing into the radio station. Yeah. The SMSs are coming directly to you.
Yeah.
And you're talking, you're doing your 1 minute, and you're reading a message that's, maybe not so kind.
You take it. Yeah. It's a hard pill to swallow. And what people don't realize is, unlike breakfast crews, we don't have producers. Yeah. We are our own producers. So everything's unfiltered. You're right. All the phone calls and messages that came through, we saw them directly, and there was some that really hurt. Yeah, I was just like, oh, really?
But did you ever call people back when they sent you something? Says, Ali, this is kind of the worst radio I've ever heard in my life. Did you ever call them back?
I tried to. And tried to put them on air, not to call them out or anything, but to have a conversation, because again, it was material. They never. picked up. Ever.
No, because
One person did.
Oh, okay.
One person did, but they actually said, "Do you mind not putting me on air? But I'll tell you why I hate you so much." Cool.
Yeah, they hate you so much, but they're listening every night.
It counts. It's ratings. So for me, it was like, great, thank you. There is no such thing as bad publicity, really.
No.
So even getting into trouble regularly, which I did, was a good thing. It worked.
So you ended up leaving Dubai. You ended up heading to Lebanon to a Virgin Radio in Lebanon.
Yeah, that's right. I needed time out. I needed to get out of here. I was living alone.
Well, I said when you were here, you weren't married.
No.
Everything's changed now. I mean, we fast forward 8 years.
Yeah, so
you got a whole different life. This is a different Ali Mac.
Yeah, completely. This is grown up Ali Mac. I left Dubai, went home within a month, got married to a girl that I'd known at the time for 11 years.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we got married against her parents' wishes, etc., etc.
Are they okay with this now?
Yeah. They're actually coming out in a month to visit. Nice. Yeah, they said it would only last a year. It's lasted 8. Won them over. What helped was Lebanon. Yeah. Lebanon really helped. Because,
so tell me about this.
It was 6 months in to our marriage. Things were kind of rough because I was continuously trying to make effort with her parents.
Wow.
I couldn't do it. It was killing me.
What was their issue? I mean, if you don't mind me picking, and
no, mate, we talk about it quite openly.
Okay,
her and I. So it was a difference of culture, castes. Her being of Pakistani heritage, me being of Indian heritage.
Man.
Yeah, even the class that she comes from a very wealthy family. She's a lawyer. She's educated. Where I was a radio DJ. So the dad was like, "What is going on here?" And I came from a normal family. We weren't super wealthy, but we were okay,
middle class.
Yeah, and it was also a bit of religion as well because we're both Muslims, but she's one caste, I'm another caste. And it was just everything that could go against us did. We got married anyway. And then I said to her, I spoke to Ian Grace and I was like, if you got anything else around the Middle East, holla. So he did. He was like, I got something in Lebanon. So I was like, cool, I'm there, down, let's go. Pack your bags, darling. And she was like, okay.
So was the idea for her she could practice law anywhere, or she was just keen to get a break?
She was keen to get a break, but as in she was working from home there. Her office said you can work remotely, no problem. She had a few clients in Lebanon because she does shipping law.
Oh, nice.
So obviously they've got a port there, as we know about. Sad news about her.
Oh, man.
So that was the best year of our life. Honestly, Lebanon was the best year of our life. The people, unbelievable. The country, unbelievable. What helped was the biased opinion and the propaganda that is spread in UK media is Lebanon is this and that and this. So when her dad found out we were going to Lebanon, it drove him nuts.
Oh, so he's like, what are you talking about? Because he's probably whipping out all of the newspaper articles saying, have you seen this? Have you seen this?
Exactly,
have you seen this?
Right? And we went and he kept tabs on us and he saw that we were happy, we were fine. We did Virgin Radio Lebanon. I put her on a few times. It was now finding that balance of old me and new me.
How was the difference between coming from Virgin in Dubai to Virgin in Lebanon? What did you? I mean, the brand is the brand.
Yeah, but the formatting was the same.
Yeah,
the music clocks were the same, but there were only 2 presenters. Well, there were only 2 shows because in Lebanon they don't have shows throughout the day. It's the breakfast show and the drive time show, but we didn't have a drive time show, so they were like, we don't even want to put you on drive. We want to put you on what you're known for, which is evenings.
Yeah.
So I was on in the evenings again.
Which actually, when you think Beirut,
was popping.
That is when everyone's out. It's like, hey, we need to listen to Ali Mac.
Yeah. And that was it. I had no competition.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I need someone to keep me on my toes. But it was great. And, I'd finish my show and then go out. I'd be done by 10:30, and my wife would be there, and we would go out on the town. It was a beautiful, beautiful city, Beirut, and the country as a whole. I made some friends who are friends for life.
Oh, man.
Really, I just cannot tell you how grateful I am for that experience. It was incredible. So we did that for a year, and then went back to the UK, and I was like...
What was the deciding factor to head back to the UK? What really pushed you in that direction?
she was like, we've had our fun for a year, but she didn't really have much independence because she couldn't drive. They don't really have footpaths everywhere where we were living. So she was a little bit isolated, and she was like, right, I need to get back to her normality. Okay. So I was like, yeah, fine. Mm-hmm. You know what? You followed me. Her career was now taking off as well. So we went back, and I said, yeah, cool. I did breakfast with Robin at his station back in the UK for a few months. Couldn't do it. I just cannot.
What was the issue with breakfast? I mean, was it just the time? Was it the
my body just couldn't adjust. I had my morning voice on. I couldn't function.
Well, and morning shows, you're getting up at what, 4 a.m?
Yeah. But because I had to travel for an hour and a bit, it was
so
like...
you're getting up at 3 a.m?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It was hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So I stopped. I was just like, I think I'm done with it.
How'd that feel?
I had withdrawal for a good few months.
Yeah. Sort of the self-esteem thing, because you're Ali Mak, the radio guy.
Yeah.
And suddenly, A, you're not on radio, and B, this has got to be a big one that plays in the back of your head. Breakfast is always the show. Like, here you are doing breakfast, and you're just going, I can't do that.
Yeah. He was the main guy, obviously, on breakfast. I was, just there and one of his producers and stuff. But
still.
I'd started falling out of love with broadcasting.
Oh, I don't want to hear that.
At the time.
Yeah, no one wants to hear that.
Yeah, I just needed a change. I needed a time out. It'd been 7 years, 8 years. And I was just like, I need to do something else. But I didn't know what. So
that's a tough one, right? Because again, you're coming from a computer science background. You've traveled the world. You've been up to Dubai. You've done radio. You were in Beirut doing radio. You're back in the UK. You're now married. Your wife's got a great career. You're producing. Which don't. I mean, sometimes people say, "Oh yeah, I produce a show." It's like, oh man, the people who are doing who are the vocal talent.
Yeah.
If they don't have a good producer, especially on those shows,
doesn't work.
They're done.
Yeah. So the hardest thing was I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself.
Now, how did you tell him, your friend, who said, "Hey, come and work with me on the show"? How did you break it to him that look, I got to back out here?
We're very open with each other. Okay. I mean, we rip things off.
He got it.
Yeah. I just said I'm tired, and he goes, "I can see."
Yeah. So he probably got the whole sense of it and thought, "I'm going to let him keep going." But.
And he was a friend to me at the same time. Look, if you want to chat, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, dude, I think I'm done with it. And he was like, you sure? I'm like, I'm sure. He goes, you can come back whenever. I was like, I know. But I need to take a time out. And so literally for, I think it was 5-6 months, I sat at home and did nothing.
Wow.
I caught up on Netflix, played PlayStation, put on weight, did the usual. Met friends in the evenings when I could, and
you suddenly had time. I mean, liberating, because yes, you've got a career and yes, you've got things, but working in the broadcasting industry sucks up not only the time when you're there, but every other moment, because you're constantly thinking, hey, I need content for my show. Oh, I got to be looking at this.
I can use that. I can use that. Oh, will you come on my show? Oh, can you tell me that story again? Sort of thing. And
the 4 or 5 emails that you got to send to people, and the phone calls. Yeah. Especially if you're booking your own talent to come on, it's like
it was hard. I had a lot of down days where I was like, I just don't know what I want to do with myself. But at the same time, we bought our first house.
Oh, nice! That must have been kind of scary.
It was
because you're settling down. You're settling down when you own a house. That's anchoring you.
Yeah, that's putting down roots. Right?
Yeah, that is. I mean, it's.
What it was is we decided to buy a project. So we said we'll take a house that was a former student house.
Okay.
And we'll gut it out and we'll turn it into a family home.
Are you a DIY guy?
Here and there. I used to be a lot. Then I became lazy living here. I'm not going to lie. I got used to being able to call a handyman, but then being back there, my father-in-law is actually big in property.
Okay.
I mean, he's big in property. So after we were talking again, he was the one that gave me the idea, saying, take on a project. It'll be good for you.
So he's looking out for you too. He was watching. He's seeing how...
He was. He sent me his builders as well. He goes, you'll use my guys and you'll work with them and you'll stay in the house, whereas my daughter will come back and stay with us. I was like, okay, but there's no windows. There's no front door. Yeah, that's why you're going to stay in the house. And I was like, it's -3. Yeah, enjoy. But But it worked.
Yeah.
It worked because I fell in love with doing projects. I fell in love with property, and I thought, actually, I might want to follow his path, because the one thing my father-in-law always said is, a man should always work for himself. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
He goes, you should never have to work for someone, do your own thing. And so it kind of pushed me in that direction. And so I started looking into properties, and that's what we started doing. Like, I started building a little portfolio, which I've now done, set up a couple of side businesses.
Well, give me an idea. Can you share what some of these are?
Yeah. Well, it was vapes.
Okay.
Vaping was really kicking off then, and there was this whole kick in the UK where everyone wanted to stop smoking.
Yeah.
Vapes were just everywhere. It started off as a hipster thing, and then it became a necessity. The NHS were then recommending people to go to vaping if you couldn't use the patches and stuff. So I partnered up with someone. I did my research to see what the dangers were.
Yeah, sure.
Didn't really find any. There was one. It was a chemical in the liquid that they were using, which gave you popcorn lung. They've now banned that liquid.
Right.
So vaping, in effect, when I read all the research that had been done, they said vaping was 99.8% water vapor. It was like smoking air. And I started vaping and I stopped smoking. And I felt...
Notice the difference right away?
Oh, within a week. Yeah, I was running around. I kept up with my sports. I was still playing football. And there was a drastic change.
That's right. You were always playing football.
Yeah.
You're a football guy.
Yeah, I'm a football guy.
I can see that. You still playing?
Yeah,
still
playing.
I mean, recreation league, right?
Yeah. Wednesdays. I play on Wednesdays at Sports City with a bunch of clowns. No, they're good lads. They're good lads. They've become really good friends. But I still follow the football. I still go to matches.
Really?
So before the pandemic, I still flew back to the UK. I was in Madrid last year for the Champions League final. So I still, I've been really lucky to be able to do that. We did the vape thing, and then my wife got offered a really great position here, and she said, hey, this has come up. And I was like, hey, don't know.
Yeah.
And I thought, maybe I'll get back into broadcasting there. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we took the leap and we came out here. Sadly, at the time, Radio 1 just closed down. Steve Pulley was there.
Yeah.
And so literally, I've just been monitoring things at home.
Yeah.
And then we had a baby.
We were getting to that.
Yeah.
That's a life changer.
Yeah. So that was the UK, 2-3 years there. And then our next leap was here.
How's it changed since you come back? I mean, the one side is, as we cycle back to what we started talking about, how much radio you listen to.
I still haven't.
It's crazy, isn't it?
The biggest change for me coming back was they had raised Shechside Road.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you do that? Why am I still surprised at things that happen here? Yeah. I lived here for 5 years. They raised it, and I was like, and why? What's going under? And there was a canal.
Yeah.
I was like,
with a waterfall. There's a waterfall in one part over by the
really?
Yeah. So right by the Gulf News part where you're talking about, by the Hilton, by the Dubai Pearl.
Yeah.
That have tour stuff.
Yeah.
There's actually a waterfall on the canal there. So if you're at night and you're walking on the canal or boats are going through, it opens. It's curtained. Yeah, it's a curtained waterfall, and then they close it and it's lit up. It's beautiful.
Why do people not know about this? That's crazy. But nothing had really changed.
Yeah.
It was the Dubai cycle, the up and down.
Yeah, sure.
And I think when I came back, it was for some the down, for some it was the up. It was steady Eddie.
Yeah.
Nothing had really changed.
But you've changed.
I had changed.
I mean, you come back. You're no longer single.
Yeah.
You're married.
Yeah.
You've done up a house.
You can say it. You can say
put
it.
on weight. I was going to say you were a little bit thinner.
The pandemic hasn't helped. I put on 6, 7, 8 kilos in the pandemic.
See, I think that's the general malaise of everyone because we're home more, we're cooking more, we're hanging out more.
It's not an excuse though. Honestly, my wife lost weight and I put on.
Yeah, well, you see, you just shared.
Yeah, we switched over. But then
and now you're a dad too.
Yeah, so a year into coming back here, I thought, well, she thought, she was like, I think we're ready. And this is a girl that didn't want to have kids.
It's always like that. I mean,
I was the broody one. Yeah. So when I was like, I'm ready, she was like, no.
I got my career, I got this, I got that. Hey, we got a good life. Look, we can do this, we can do that. But
then she kind of realized there was something missing. And so we had a wonderful baby girl, changed our lives. The best thing that could have ever happened to us, that and Liverpool winning the Champions League and the Premiership.
Oh, you've put a child and football into the same sentence.
It can be done. It
would only be better if you named your child Liverpool.
I tried. I tried putting a name, but we had agreed if it's a boy, I get to name him. If it's a girl, she gets to name her. She named her. Noor Sakina is her name. And beautiful. She's now 3.
Amazing.
Yeah, it changed everything. Yeah, it changed everything. More.
You should be thinner. You've got a 3-year-old who's running you ragged.
Yeah, she is running us ragged, but I just let her run, and then I'll slowly walk. I'll be like, yeah, darling, I'm coming. She's great. We had our first scare last week because we've just moved into a villa.
Oh, nice.
Top of the stairs.
Yep.
And she went through the gate backwards, head first. And I don't know if you've seen that video of dads saving their kids, where they literally just within a split second are there. And I looked at this video and I was like, I could never do that ever. My child, it happened. My mate was there watching, and literally I've taken a dive and caught her just as the back of her head was maybe about 2 centimeters away from the edge of the step.
Yeah.
And she was quite shook, and we were at the top. Had I not made it, she would have taken a full roll down. Man. But I made it.
How many bones would have been damaged in that process?
Oh, well, I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
But I can tell you I was at 180 BPM. So that was, again, everything changes when you have a child.
Yeah.
You just think, you know, there's certain songs you can't listen to in the car anymore because you're like, oh, hold on, this isn't convenient. This isn't ideal.
No. I remember my own boys, and you know, my boys are old, and actually, you're going to love this one.
Yeah.
As one of my sons, you know, and this is the life lesson for parents, right?
Right.
We all want to tell our kids what to do.
Yeah.
And we all have aspirations. You know, look, I have a PhD. I could care less if any of my kids get a PhD. My thing with them is just do what you love.
Yeah. Be happy.
So one of my sons, literally, you know, both of my sons have done that. They're going, hey, this is what I'm happy doing. This is what I'm happy doing. One of them now works at the best recording studio in Canada.
Wow.
As a music engineer.
Wow.
And he's an assistant engineer. So he's a young guy.
Yeah.
But he graduated. He went through the whole deal, and he is literally working on albums that you and I listen to.
No. And how do you feel?
It's awesome. I mean,
That's brilliant.
It is.
Congrats on you.
And you know, the nice part is because in that field, and like literally, he even said to me yesterday, he says, yeah, I said, what are you doing on your day off? He says, going into the studio. I said, what are you doing? Well, I'm working on my own stuff now, because when he's not working, he's still at the studio.
Yeah. So that's his love now, right? That's his passion.
You know, for 2 years he interned there, and for free.
Wow.
So 2 years interning, I was supporting him for 2 years, but
so he paid his dues.
That's the music industry. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, of course.
They, you know, they're working like a machine. For free.
Yeah.
But they eventually hired him on, and they just said, yeah. You know, the head engineer sort of said to him, he said, you know, what's my chances? Just don't screw up in the next couple of months. You're looking good.
Wow. And so is he doing mixing and mastering, or?
So he's working on the recording side. So as you know, he'll go in for the setup and then make sure that they're getting the sound off at this point, and doing the basic at that point. So
that's a real adrenaline rush. I forgot to mention, because I did a production course back in the UK after Lebanon. It was a 6-month course, and so I got to do engineering and stuff. know what he's doing. It's brilliant. You know what? Good on him, because it's a hard industry to break into.
Oh, it's brutal. And I mean, there's no jobs.
No.
And that's what I don't understand. Like, there's how many kids went through the program he went through and that, but there are no jobs. Like, unless someone dies, someone moves on, or they build a new studio, you're never going to get a job in the field. And unless you decide, hey, I'm going to go do live sound. And he did some live sound. He said, I hate it.
Yeah.
He said, I don't like the lack of control.
Yeah. You have none.
None.
Yeah.
And so he'll send me pictures every now and then. Oh yeah, here. And he had this great band that came in, and I can't remember what their genre is. Something punk. So maybe it's rock punk or garage punk, or Danko Jones is the name of the band. Look him up.
Yeah.
And he sends me a picture. He's doing some recording there with Danko Jones. And what have they got mic'd up? The cowbell on the drum kit. And I'm going, any band that's miking the cowbell is a great band.
Yeah. And you know about bands, because we had many conversations about this. You're the maestro at that. So no, good for him. Good for him.
And so the point is, you just kind of watch your kids do stuff, and it's hard. I mean, as a parent, you're just starting off, and you rescued your daughter, but as they go through things, and you just watch them and give them advice and give them more advice, and they do their own thing, and it's tough.
It's a balance, because also the parents have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And I find sometimes we're not, and that's a hard thing.
Yeah, it is.
Because she had a different upbringing, as did I.
Yeah.
So, her parents loved her dad loved her. My dad was okay with me, sort of thing. So my bringing up was out of fear. Hers was out of love. Yeah. And so sometimes, I'm like, she needs a bit of discipline here. And she's like, no, we can just sit and explain it to her. It's fine. I'm like, no, we have to be a bit stern. No. We just have to give her a hug and tell her we love her. I'm like, she knows we love her. So it is, I'm just at the beginning. But every day is a new experience. This weekend, the weekend just gone, we went horse riding for my birthday.
Happy birthday, brother.
Thanks, man. And she sat on the horse, and she was riding, and I was just like, it was a proud moment.
Yeah.
Everything is a proud moment.
Isn't that incredible?
It is. Even when she does something naughty, it's kind of a proud moment, because I'm like, yeah, that's my girl. I'm so proud of you. I don't condone her hitting people, but I want her to defend herself. And when she does, I'm like, oh, man, that was a good right hook. So, tell me, what else have I got to look forward to?
Oh, so this is. I got sad news for you, because as your daughter's going through the various stages, and school's coming eventually. I mean, not so far away. Reception. If you're in the British system, that's what, 4 years, 4.5, 3.5, 4, right?
4, yeah. She started preschool already, but we've taken a break.
Yeah. So when you start getting into the reception thing, so people always say, oh, it's going to get better. It never gets better. It just gets different. So when people say, oh, don't worry, it'll get better. She'll grow out of this. She's going to grow out of whatever that thing is that you're hoping is going to go away, but something new is going to come up, to the point that when you got 23, 24-year-olds like I do.
Yeah. It's new for you, though, at the same time, right? So when it's new for them, it's new for you.
Yeah. And it never gets better. It just gets different. There's just more things to worry about. And I always said, and I say this to my boys now, I said, up to about 8 years old, those were like the golden years, because you did everything and anything I said.
Yeah.
You were there. You were hanging off me. And then, I'm really glad they went to school, and I'm really glad they grew up. But, now I don't know what they're doing every day. I mean, they call. Fortunately, my kids keep in touch with me all the time, and my wife, and in different ways, right? I got one son who calls all the time.
Yeah.
And and it's funny, because people say, well, aren't you using Zoom or Skype or whatever? It's like, no. We're
old school.
We're old school. We talk on the phone, and my other son will send us messages, right? We're right in contact with that and stuff. But it's, I think the hardest thing as a parent is when you don't know what they're doing every moment of their day.
Right.
I don't know what they're eating all the time. I don't know if they're having some issues with, feeling sad that they didn't get a promotion or you don't know that anymore. And that's really hard, because you did everything for them.
So the worrying never stops.
No, never.
How have you kept your hair?
I don't know, man, because my son actually owned one of my youngest owned a motorbike, and I hated it. I didn't want him to own a motorcycle. So because he owned a motorcycle, my wife and I we had an agreement with him. We said, okay, we'll facilitate you getting your license, but you have to have always top equipment on. You have to wear it at all times. I don't care how hot it is.
Yeah.
and you got to have the full thing and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he got into an accident. So biggest horror story of your life, right? You're somewhere and you get a phone call. Yeah, I've been in a motorcycle accident. It's like, like your heart drops, whatever you're doing, your whole world just spins out of control. And it's like, you just go into myopic, you're on the phone. What's going on? He says, I'm okay. And that was the last day he rode his motorcycle. So literally in slow moving traffic had an incident with a car, actually a tow truck slamming on its brake while he was behind it. And he said, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm 6'2", I might've been decapitated. And we sort of said, how's that accident? And then it was only after we're talking to people and said, yeah, he did kind of roll off the bike in the air. And we're kind of going, and he goes, I don't remember any of that.
Oh my gosh.
And he never got back on the bike.
Yeah.
And so, some folks say, yeah, you got to get back on the bike. And I'm
No.
I'm going, no. You know what? You had your fun.
Yeah.
It worked, and it's too dangerous. And for me and for my wife, every time we would see the news back home, and this would be in Toronto, we'd be looking at the news and you see bike accident. It was always like, and if it was at night, you're kind of going, oh, look, he could be coming home from the studio. So you're looking at the image, you're looking, it's like, you're texting, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
So it's just new worries. It's just new things. And it's
that's crazy.
Yeah. So it never gets better. It's funny because the kids, the kids go, I call them kids, they go, they're young men.
Yeah.
And they're adults.
Yeah.
But they're still always my little boys.
Of course, yeah.
And it's funny how you remember them as the little boys who've gone through everything.
Yeah.
And you got to give them still space.
That's no, that's never going to happen with us. I don't think she'll ever have space. No, good on you though, because 2 sons.
Yeah, 2 boys.
You look great.
Yeah.
Like I said, full head of hair. You've kept yourself young, and that's good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something for me to look up to and say, you did it.
And you kind of owe it to your kids, right? So it's, I think it's as they grow and as they go through different stages and, they're 16s and they're 18s and they're 20s, you want to be able to be there for them. So, health-wise, you want to, you do a little jogging or you do this. You're thinking, I got to make sure that I'm going to be there for all these things. And that's I am
trying to get back into shape. I was actually in really good shape.
Yeah.
I had got into really good shape here at the gym 4 times a week, and then football and squash. And like I said, I've just recently let myself go. But I was eating well as well.
Yeah.
But it's hard, dude. It's hard to keep up with it because I'm a foodie. I lived off takeaways for like 8 years. Yeah. Uni life and then radio life, and it's hard. But then I see her, and you're right. I think, no, I want to stay around for you. I want to be able to do things with you. I want to still go into the play area with you because when I go to the play area here with her, I'm literally the only dad who actually runs in with her, and we're playing hide and seek and we're going down the slide. And it's really funny because all the mums are like, is he her nanny or what? I'm like, no, I'm father. These things happen. Fathers do play with their children. They're like, wow. And I'm like, hey, how you doing?
So you've seen opportunities since you're back, and the UAE is this phenomenal opportunity incubator, even unofficially. You've got the vaping stuff, you've done other things, you got your daughter, you seen.
Well, I was looking at opening up a vape store here when I first arrived, and I was told, no, it's never going to happen, blah, blah. Now there's vape stores popping up everywhere. But again, I'm now out of that. I'm out of love with that. And this is when I reached out to you to say, well, hey, everyone's been badgering me about doing a podcast.
Yeah. And
so I've actually put my team together.
Awesome.
Having moved into the villa, one of the rooms is being set up into a full-on studio.
Oh, man. Nice.
Yeah, I've looked at the microphones, which is, again, things I wanted to run by with you. I've looked at a mixer.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah.
There's lots of great mics out there, and you can go with your Sures or whatever, and you're going to do that. Rodecaster Pro.
I've seen it. Yeah. Is the way forward.
It is the way forward.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, and it's got a lot of features on it that you can turn off. This is a radio station. and what makes it work. I mean, we're running 2 mics into it. You can run in a computer into it.
Okay, I can see it's got 4 XLRs.
It's got 4 XLRs coming out. Yeah. I can run this mixer into a PA system if I want to.
Okay.
I can run it into my computer directly. So it works not only as a mixer, it works as an interface.
Okay.
So if I'm recording multiple channels in, say, Audition, each of the channels that I'm recording
separately.
Yes.
Right. That is something I wanted to discuss with you.
You can run it into, as I'm doing right now, I'm just running it in on one channel, but into a micro SD card. So it's not coming into my computer. Beautiful. One of the saving graces of this thing is, what if you want to do a phone call interview with someone?
Yeah.
This machine Bluetooths into your phone.
Oh.
So suddenly I can take phone calls and put them on the air.
That's incredible.
And then you've got I don't know how many different keypads it cycles through. So I can program in, all different sounds, intros, and I can turn them on and off just like a radio station.
Right. I did see that mixer and I thought, I want to discuss that with him because I've seen the 6-channel Yamaha as well.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. If you're doing podcasting, this is, and it offers you a whole bunch of onboard sound reduction stuff. If you want to have big bottom, it does that. If you want to have auto ducking, it'll do it. I mean, it'll do it all right into it.
Okay.
And I mean, as far as podcasting goes, this is the machine.
And then microphones.
So these are pod mics. These are Rode pod mics. They've gone for the full, Rode system.
Yeah.
And
are these dynamic or condensed?
These are dynamic,
right?
Yeah. And so the beauty, again, if you buy into the ecosystem of Rode, is these mics are configured for the mixer. So once you plug them in, you hit the sound because you can change it. You can adjust almost everything.
Right.
The mics are already preset in for all of the goodness of them.
Okay.
And so it reconfigures the audio to match the mic. So you get the best out of the mic. But you can change things around and you can use any mic you want. Right. But it asks you what kind of mics you're using and then you can adjust things.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, so that's what I came here for. Thanks so much. Good night.
Super affordable. I mean, that's the other thing.
Well, this was the thing. Price-wise, they beat everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone. And I was just like, how? Okay.
Yeah. And it's very light. In fact, one of the things that, so I bought my kit here in the UAE, which obviously I live here, so why not?
Yeah.
If you were to say get it in England, the beauty of that is often Rode bundles in other things with it, and you can actually run this complete deck without any electricity. So you run it off a battery pack because it really doesn't take too much power to run it. And so Rode in other countries bundles things into it, which they didn't do in Dubai. Yeah.
Right.
But even if you get it here, it really, so for me, this is kind of interesting. When we talk about the university, we wanted to set up a radio station years ago, and we'd actually looked at getting a Clyde system in, and we're talking 200,000 dirhams at the end of the day. It was beautiful. Didn't happen for whatever reason. They were slow. Then this came out and it does everything that you would do on the board of a radio station. This is a 4-channel board that has all the stuff.
Incredible. Okay.
Here with price about 2,000 dirhams.
So you've sold me for sure. You've sold me because honestly, I was leaning towards that Yamaha, but
which is depending on what you want to use it for, it could be great. But what also made me think, okay, so say I'm, you're going to do Ali Mak Live, and you're going to do it, you're doing the school run show, which. Let's have a chat after.
Yeah.
But, and you're doing it live in the parking lot of a school. You got a little generator going and you've got you got your speakers going. You can plug them in. And it's got a separate, so it's got an outlet with a volume control on the board, big knob, that you can blast it out. So it just does.
And it looks cool, dude.
It looks cool. And when it's dark, the lights, it's all lit up. Oh man,
so that's the one.
Yeah. I think, there are other options, and Zoom has got a nice little kit that they've come out with for doing some recording, brand new, and it's really a much smaller version of this, but it's cool. It's a Zoom.
No, if I go in, I want to go all in.
But I love this, and I've been using it now for a year. I've been using one of these.
Okay. And is that the same one you take out with you when you're by the pool?
Yeah.
And all of that, right?
Yeah.
Because I see, I can't see a picture of you without the mixer, and I'm just like,
I just carry it around with me. Even if it's not plugged in, I just put it there.
Yeah. That's cool.
And the other side, I've done a lot of Zoom. This is the other side. So maybe you're doing some podcasting and you're doing like me, you're doing a catching up show.
Yeah.
I've done a whole bunch through Zoom. I connect my Zoom audio. I connect this into the Zoom, grab all the audio off Zoom. I get my audio.
Yeah.
I'm running it at 48 kilohertz. So I'm getting beautiful quality.
Yeah.
And I'm just running the Zoom right in. So Zoom quality, if you record the sound off Zoom, is about 32, I think.
Yeah.
I run it into here. I'm now recording that lower quality, but at a higher level.
Rate. Yeah.
I sound awesome because that's all that matters.
You always sound awesome.
You know, my guests sound awesome, and we got a great podcast.
Brilliant. Okay.
So it really, when I think of how easy it is, if someone wants to tool up a little bit and someone says, oh, it's expensive. I said, you know what, you're looking at, if you go with a couple of, then there's a variety of different mics. So you want to try them out, but I really like these, especially you get nice and close.
Yeah.
They're sweet.
Yeah.
They're sweet.
But then I noticed, do you need soundproofing with these or anything like that?
The closer you are, the less you need. A room like this, a couple of panels. So we're in the Rove Hotel podcast studio.
Beautiful.
And there's the right behind you is a big solid wall that needs a couple of panels on it.
Right.
And I've got the curtains open at the moment. But generally speaking, I at home I'm using a Shure SM58. So I'm not using a pod mic from Rode. I'm using Shure mics.
Yeah.
And I've got very little soundproofing in the room.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know it.
And it's fine.
It's perfect.
Because I think my room at home is probably about 35-40% the size of this.
Yeah.
And no windows. There's a small window. And I was just thinking about sticking some pads on the ceiling.
Yeah, a few pads never hurt, right?
Yeah.
And a couple on the wall and away you go. I often say, throw a tablecloth down, hang up some acoustic curtain on a wall. You're done. It's easy.
Right. So, I mean, that's my next step.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the podcast.
I think that's great.
And obviously, I can't wait to have you on it. Because
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be...
Now, the other thing you might want to think about is the Rove Hotel makes this room available.
Okay. Yeah.
So...
I could do.
And it can be, you could go and sit over on if you're sitting there, they got comfy chairs, they got a stand-up system. If you want to stand up, you just move stuff over.
Yeah.
And they got a guy who helps you with all that.
Okay.
And, you come in, put micro SD card in.
Yeah. And you're just good to go.
You're just good to go.
This is great. I did not know about this. Yeah. Honestly, I was just like, why is he inviting me to the Rove Hotel?
Yeah.
Why?
So actually, what the backstory is, before they put this in, I used to bring a whole kit, and I was actually, before I got the Rode mixer, just using an old Yamaha.
Yeah.
And we're talking like a pre-2000 Yamaha 4 channels that I would just link into my computer with a USB.
Yeah.
And I would sit down in this hotel in the lobby and do the show, which actually I kind of like doing. So when you walked in and there's music and we just would set up on a table. I'd just get out 2 computers. I'd get out, some extension cords. I'd set up the microphones, some mic stands.
So you went through the stages of podcasting. Oh, yeah. You really did.
Yeah. For years. And this is the irony, actually, when I was at Dubai Eye, this is the best part. For the last 5 years of that, my stint there, the first hour I would do live in studio. And the second hour I would pre-record that week, usually out somewhere. So I do Get Fit Radio with Marcus Smith from Inner Fight.
Okay.
I would go to the gym and I would set up my gear.
Yeah.
And we would record an hour's worth of radio. So we would record 12-minute segments.
Yeah.
I'd break it up into 12-minute segments.
Yeah.
And send it all in, and they would load it up. And the second hour, we would run these pre-records that were done that week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know you did prereqs.
Yeah. Every show there were every second part of the show was a pre-record.
Okay.
Unless that couldn't happen, then I'd stay and do it live. But usually till 11, so the 10 to 11 part was
pre-rec.
Yeah. It might be a doctor show. No, the doctors always came in. So it would be, I did the fitness show like that. Did we do the car show? No, those guys would come in.
No, the car show guys would come in.
The car show would come in. So I can't remember the other ones I did at second part. But for the most part, the second part was recorded.
Yeah.
And I would do them that week though. So they were never, I did it, months ago. No, it was, hey, I gotta see you for an hour. And I would drive out somewhere and set up and away we go.
So where do you see, what's next for you? Like, is it podcasting all the way now?
It's a funny thing because my interests, so I'm a university professor and I teach communication, and I don't teach this.
Yeah.
This is not what I teach.
Yeah,
and it's funny because someone will say, well, you must teach broadcasting. I say, no, I don't.
So, but you're still doing the teaching part as
full
well.
time. I'm a full-time professor. In fact, I'm teaching overload this semester. It's killing me.
Wow.
Teach 5 courses. Yes, media ethics and law, intercultural communication, media criticism, public speaking.
Dude.
Yeah, I know. I'm dying.
Dude.
The teaching's not hard. It's all the grading that's sort of coming in and students saying,
it's the paperwork after.
It's the paperwork. It's like I'm looking at
How do you get time to fit this in?
That's Tuesdays.
Oh, okay.
So stack them. So the problem is not doing them. Yeah. People always forget is, you did the podcast. Yeah, but then you got to do something with it. Yeah. So I got the file.
Yeah.
Now I gotta load it in and give it a listen, and make sure the intro's good, and maybe I try to do my podcasts, and when you listen to them, and you find your own style. I mean, you're already 10 steps ahead because you've got that broadcasting background. The challenge is for people who are broadcasters who go into podcasting is they have the broadcasting mind still, and it's like, hold on, no, I now have freedom to organize that the way I want. And you might look at a Joe Rogan and say, oh, that's what he does, or this is what Stern does. And they've really done a nice transformation, but you got to do what you want to do. And it's so hard to break free of, well, this is how it works.
That was the kind of the idea. I don't want to be the next Joe Rogan, or I don't want to be Joe Budden, or like you said, you have to do your own thing.
Got to be Ali Mack.
Well, and like I said, it's because I've got this team around me as well. I've got 2 co-hosts who have never done broadcasting.
Beautiful.
And I think that's what's going to be great about it, that these guys haven't. And they're going to come in and they're going to be raw. But I could already see in them that they've got a lot to say, a little bit of coaching here and there with word economy and stuff, and crutches and things like that. But I think they are going to be the people that actually run the show. I'm just going to be sitting behind, kind of just adjusting the faders and just kind of, I'd say, guiding them into conversations. We just want it to be honest, truthful. Yeah. We want current topics. It's going to be a mixture. Everyone said, oh, what's the theme of your podcast? There's no theme. Yeah. The theme is 3 people in a room having a conversation. Yeah. And it was my wife that came out with the idea, and she was like, this is what you should call the podcast. I was like, oh yeah. And you're allowed to have an opinion. Yeah. It's okay to have an opinion.
That's refreshing part.
Yeah, that if I disagree with you, I'm not going to taboo you. I'm not going to be like, no, get out. It's like, cool. Educate me on your view, please. Yeah. Educate me on your view, please. Educate each other and educate whoever's listening. Yeah. I think that's the route we want to take.
So when are we going to expect to hear this podcast? What's your plan? What's your timeline, Ali?
My timeline is 1 month.
Okay.
My time, so sadly, oh my gosh. So one of the co-hosts has unfortunately tested positive.
Oh no.
So he's in isolation at the moment. So I'm actually delivering food to him. Great kid. Love him to bits. I've got an engineer coming in to help me kind of set up. Yeah. Have a look at the room to say maybe, in fact, it's one of the guys from ARN.
Okay.
I've still kept in touch with the IT and engineers. So he said, look, I'll come around and I'll help you out. I was like, cool, great. Like I said, before I bought anything, I wanted to run things by you first. I'm now going to be seriously looking at that road. Yeah.
And serviceable here. So the guys, there's an agent here who deals with these machines. Okay. So great warranty on them as well.
Okay. So there's peace of mind.
Yeah. No, there's no second thoughts at all on this. And sometimes you buy a mixer or whatever and you think, what if I'd gotten? I was like, no.
Yeah. Do you ever bank up shows?
Yeah, all the time. In fact, I run a 2-week cycle. So I've got next week's shows aren't up yet. Mm-hmm. And this show will come up the week after.
Right. Okay. So you're well ahead then.
Well, it's a nice buffer in case, we don't. And so I run it that way, probably put out 3 or 4 episodes a week, depending on the platform that I'm using. And what I've started to do is, because unlike a lot of folks who work radio, and of course, we were talking about when you're done, you're done. Yeah. I pretty much recorded all my shows, like every one of them.
Yeah.
So I started replaying them. Can you imagine? And the funny thing is, I replayed a music show that I did, because I used to do Wind Down Wednesdays, and then we called it the Jukebox. Yeah. And I replayed one that was 7 years old.
Do you cringe when you listen back?
You know what?
Yeah.
It sounds identical to what it sounds all shows I do today. It didn't sound any different, except the music. And it's funny because the music's obviously 7 years old, but it's all indie recording artists from the Middle East.
Yeah.
So if you hadn't heard them 7 years ago and you haven't heard them today, you're kind of going, oh man, I need to listen to Postcards out of Beirut. And you hear the guy who used to do it with, he's talking.
Yeah.
And I sent it to him and he says, what a blast from the past. He goes, you're right. We sound like we're doing it. And there's one great story because that's a show I used to pre-record.
Yeah.
So we could talk about. So it was actually really fast because we didn't put I put the music in after. So we would intro and outro the songs.
Yeah.
And then I dump them in. And one time we had to go and record. And we had to do it in his boardroom, and it was just too noisy. So I moved all the equipment under the table, and we're lying on our stomachs, holding handheld mics, doing the show.
The things you do for radio, mate.
Man. And it was just hilarious. That show we used to do every week. We'd put on 4 or 5 songs. And that was actually one of the coolest things I ever did on the Arabian Radio Network on Dubai Eye, and I never got in trouble.
Yeah.
I'd play Arabic songs. I'd play Arabic music. And someone said, but do you understand it? No. I said, no, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But I get every song screened by an Arabic language speaker who says no drugs, no sex, no uprising, no, nothing, because they could be from Beirut, they could be from anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I would play complete Arabic songs, and I would play other songs. So in the music, no genre.
Yeah.
So death metal, the entire song.
Wow. And you got away with it.
No one ever complained.
Yeah,
no listeners complained. And I always thought maybe the management just didn't listen to the show because
they did. They did. I know they did. Trust me. 100%. I'm sure they did. Because I know Steve even used to listen to you as well. He'd be like, have you heard James? No, I haven't, because I'm on at the same time as him.
Oh man.
That's so, yeah. I mean, this was the craziest thing I did on radio, these tats.
Yeah. That was in Beirut.
Yeah, this was in Beirut.
It's on. You got a video of that on. You got a YouTube of that.
Yeah, there's a YouTube. I mean, it started off as a joke sort of thing, and then it really turned into something serious. And I actually love them, and now I actually want to get more. But yeah, like I said, the things we do for radio, and this was all just for one thing, just radio. That was it, just to prove that men can take the pain. Yeah. No, they can't. No, they can't.
Ali, this has been a lot of fun.
It's been a pleasure.
We got to do it again really soon, and I look forward to listening to your podcast. You're gonna let me know when it's happening.
Yeah.
I want to be on it.
100%. So I have my list ready, and you are at the top, my friend.
Awesome. I can't wait. Ali Mak joining us here on Catching Up. My name's James Pikeway. This is you're listening to us on Podaholics, and Arch's audio gives us this nice theme. Gotta love it.
It's great. It's a nice way out. It's a nice end. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
really.
Thank you. You want to find out more about us, podaholics with a K at gmail.com is how you can email us. And of course, www.podaholics.com to find out hundreds of episodes. Talk to you again soon. Ali, once again, thank you.
Take care. See ya.